Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're looking at one of the absolute most beloved, show-stopping plants you could possibly put in the ground. I'm talking about peonies. If you're someone who loves those big, blousy, over-the-top late spring blooms that literally just fill the air with their sweet fragrance, well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to break down the science and honestly the art of how to plant, grow, and even multiply these spectacular garden shows.
Now, I want us to really focus on that word decades. The experts at Northlawn Flower Farm and Gardens actually put it perfectly. Just think about that time frame for a second. I bet a lot of you watching right now can easily picture peonies growing beautifully along your grandmother's driveway, right? That nostalgic memory is exactly what we're talking about today. Because when we do this correctly, we aren't just popping a seasonal flower in the dirt. No, we are planting living, generational heirlooms. But to get those decades of flowers, you absolutely have to get the real estate right first. Peonies thrive best in hardiness zones 3 through 8. They like their soil pH sitting comfortably right between 6.5 and 7.0, and they demand, and I mean demand, full sun and rich, well-draining soil. Now, this might seem like a kind of strict baseline checklist, but providing this ideal home base, that is step one to guaranteeing your success. And there's actually a very specific biological reason they prefer those hardiness zones of 3 through 8. 60. That is the magic number. Peonies ideally need at least 60 days of cold winter temperatures. They literally require this long chill period to trigger that massive spring flowering we're all chasing. Without that cold snap, the plant just won't perform. Section 1, the perfect planting method. So whether you're starting this in the fall or the early spring, you're going to want to give the roots plenty of room and some rich compost. Let's look at exactly how to position them. All right, so the crucial point is right here. If you take away only one single thing from this entire explainer, please let it be this golden rule. Planting depth is the absolute make or break factor for peonies. It's wild. On the left side of things, if the eyes, which are those little red growth points right on the root, are covered with just 1.5 to 2 inches of soil, you get abundant blooms. It's a super shallow planting depth. But on the flip side, if you plant them too deeply or if you pile a bunch of heavy mulch over the top, you'll get a plant that puts out all this beautiful green foliage, but it completely fails to flower. Depth is literally everything here. Now, as your plant gets established, it's going to need some serious space. We're not talking about tiny border plants here. Most of these cultivars will reach a mature size of 3 feet tall by 3 feet wide. You really have to give them room to breathe, because good airflow around the whole plant is absolutely vital to keep diseases away. As they expand over the years, you might actually need to dig up and move your surrounding perennials just to get them out of the way. And hey, if you're growing them in rows specifically for cut flower production, you're going to want to space the plants 24 inches apart in rows that are 18 inches apart. Section 2, the 3-year timeline. Let's talk about setting some realistic expectations here, because perennial gardening definitely requires a little bit of patience while those roots get settled in. I really want to slow down and emphasize this timeline just so you don't get discouraged. In year 1, right after planting, you're likely only going to see foliage. I promise you this is completely normal. It's not a sign of failure at all. The plant is just busy focusing all of its energy down below ground. Then in year 2, you might be rewarded with, 1 or 2 flowers. But year 3 and beyond, that is when the magic really happens. You'll finally see those abundant blooms, and the incredible thing is, the show honestly just gets better and better as the years roll on. Section 3, the marshmallow harvest. Let's go ahead and fast forward to that amazing blooming phase. So if you've ever grown peonies, you know the absolute tragedy of these massive flowers getting top-heavy after a spring rain and just flopping right face down into the dirt. It's heartbreaking. So how do you stop those heavy blooms from falling over without having to constantly buy those metal stakes or corralling cages on Amazon? Because sure, you certainly can buy physical support systems, but there's actually an entirely different, incredibly clever, natural way to manage this whole situation. The secret, cutting them at the marshmallow stage. This is the exact point in a peony bud's development when the head feels soft and kind of squishy to the touch. Literally exactly like a marshmallow. That tactile little feeling is your green light. It's the absolute optimal time to harvest the flower. By cutting them at this specific stage to enjoy indoors, you're basically saving them before they ever even get the chance to become top-heavy and fall over in your garden. And this brilliantly illustrates just how insanely durable these flowers actually are. You've got to check out this dry storage hack. If you cut them in that marshmallow bud stage, you can literally wrap them up in simple brown paper and lay them entirely dry right inside your refrigerator for weeks. Seriously, no water. Then, when you're finally ready to display them, you just unwrap them, give the stem ends a fresh cut, and rehydrate them in a bucket of water. Within just a few hours, they're going to open right up and look exactly as if you'd freshly cut them from the garden that very morning. It's a real game changer.
Section 4, dividing in winter care. Eventually, sadly, those beautiful blooms are going to fade, and you need to know exactly what late-season care steps you need to take next. Now, please pay incredibly close attention to this one. Do not cut the green leaves. I know, it is so tempting to want to totally clean up your garden right after all the flower petals drop, but you absolutely have to leave that green foliage right where it is. The underlying logic here is that those remaining green leaves are essentially acting like giant solar panels. They're actively photosynthesizing and aggressively recharging the root system, making sure your plant has all the stored energy it's going to need for next year's blooms. So what if you want to multiply a plant that's been growing beautifully for, say, a decade? Dividing a massive established root might sound a little intimidating, but it's actually just 4 really simple, approachable tasks that you tackle in the fall. First up, you finally get to cut that foliage down at ground level. Second, you dig and gently lift the entire root out of the ground. Third, spray it all down with a hose so you can wash away the dirt and clearly see where those eyes are. And fourth, just grab a sharp knife, or honestly even your hands, and carefully pull and divide the clump into brand new sections. While you're dividing that root, you really want to keep this specific range in your head, 3 to 5. That's the ideal number of eyes you want on each new divided root section, along with a nice, healthy mass of roots attached to it. If you plant a division that has fewer than 3 eyes, well, it's absolutely still going to grow, but just a quick warning, it's going to add several years back onto your blooming timeline before you ever see flowers again. As we finally wrap up the growing season, let's just do a quick review of your winter cleanup checklist. Remember how we just said earlier not to cut the green leaves? Well, your signal to finally get in there and clean up is the very first frost. Depending on your hardiness zone, that might hit your garden in October, November, or maybe even December. Only then do you go in and remove all that dead, brown foliage and clear the surrounding debris away. You really want to get rid of all that old plant material just to prevent the spread of any lingering fungal diseases while it sits over the wet winter months. Before we finish up today, I really want to leave you with one final brilliant piece of strategic landscaping advice. Peony season is famously, and let's be honest, sometimes frustratingly, short. But you can completely hack the system. By purposely planting early, mid, and late season varieties together in your garden, you can dramatically extend your personal flower show. You'll get to enjoy these magnificent blooms for literally weeks longer than you would with just one standard variety. We've covered a ton of great ground today, from finding that absolute perfect shallow planting depth all the way to that crazy dry storage marshmallow hack. But I really want to leave you with this one final thought. Your peonies can thrive for decades. They truly are a living legacy. So who will be enjoying the big, beautiful blooms from the root you plant today? It's a pretty wonderful thought to carry with you out into the garden. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, happy planting!